Well, good morning. It's 11 a.m. Eastern, and welcome to the Smarter Career Moves LinkedIn Live show. I am so excited to have Seb here with me today. We connected on Clubhouse almost a year ago, and I follow you on LinkedIn where I learn from you all the time. And I also, as I mentioned, I follow you on Instagram too. So I get kind of a different perspective on Instagram. And, you do a lot of video, and a lot of it is, educational or, edutainment, I guess is what they call that. But on Instagram, it seems to just be really just inspirational videos which I love. And the last thing I want to say is that I really admire you, the highlight, the focus that you put on mental health issues. I will never forget being on Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving. You were doing a LinkedIn Live just for people who were, hanging out alone. And I was chatting with you while I was kind of prepping cooking for the next day. And I just really appreciate that. And now you're running this 52 conversations, so I don't know how you do it all. So so for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Hi, my name is Sebestian, and thank you, Annette, for bringing me up on the show. I never knew I have enough brains or enough talent to add to your topic, because when I came to know you, I was just in awe that there are people like you. Because I spent months and months on my resume and my stuff, and it just was never good enough. It was never ATS conformed. I should have come to you. If I had known you before, my life I would have saved 6 months of writing time and pain.
Well, thank you.
But you came when I finished the whole project with my resume, because I finally gave up. 6 months down, I'm like, you know what? I have no more energy to revamp my entire thing one more time, and I just not done. I just gave it to someone, and they got it back. And when I was on your Clubhouse call, someone told me that it was not ATS conform. I was like, oh no. I know, so I gave up on it. It is what it is. I'm done with it. But so what I'm doing on LinkedIn is basically so I have my day job where I'm working in IT, and then my side hustle is where I take all my skills and everything I've learned in my day job, and I help smaller companies, because LinkedIn is going into this content creator economy part, and a lot of solopreneurs are finding themselves stuck all of a sudden. They have to do everything on a massive scale, and they're not prepared for it, and they go like, wait, I don't have time for a toilet break at all. Why? Because like 20 clients to talk to, and they're like not prepared for it. That's why.
Uh, so I appreciate that, and it is so true. I'm a solopreneur, and I'm trying to create content, and a lot of it is just making sure that you know how to repurpose it. I think that's a big time saving. So I just want to shout out to several of our friends who are in the audience. Hello, Tina and Kamalika and Felipe, and
Wow, they're
oh
all
my
there.
goodness, Jillian's in the house, and Deanna. So I know we're so happy to have you all with us this morning. So I know you all know Sebastian, but if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and he will answer them for you because he's such a nice guy.
I'm surprised you will not be already bored of all the things I talk about on a daily basis.
No, no, you are one of those people who shares things that others don't. I mean, you save me time because I learned from you how to do things that I don't know how. You, John Asparian, there are a few people, Claire, Carol, Jillian, Whitney, are people that I learned
Momita,
from. I'm sorry.
Momita.
Momita as well. Yes, she's such a sweetheart. I
I know.
adore her. But I learn from people. I follow people to learn from them because it's one of those things that saves me time. And personal branding is one of my favorite topics, personal branding, thought leadership. And, it is important for people like us, to demonstrate that we kind of know what we're talking about. But it's also valuable for a lot of the clients that I work with who are senior level executives. And, they have to show their thought leadership as well. So, so many people wonder, like with content, how do you create content? Where do you get your ideas from? And I know there's sort of things out there that you can see all the time, but what do you have tips for doing that to create that content?
Oh, that's a very good question, and the one question that I can spend all day on,
Okay.
which we're not going to try and do that because we only have 45 minutes. Earlier on, we were speaking before and we talked about Ask the Audience, which is basically an aggregator of all the searches in Bing and Google, which is live, and so it's really good. But we spoke about that for like a year now. We're getting a bit tired of that.
Okay.
So we're going to go with something new. So I believe everyone has heard about engagement and how everybody has incorporated that into their own LinkedIn journey itself. And I say you grab your content from your comments. And there's two ways to go around this. There's one way where you, like for me, if you see my comments that comes with a hashtag in there, I'm repurposing that one day later down the road because I'll have my data downloaded every month. And then I'll pull out with the Excel sheet, I can just pull all the hashtags and those posts are normally repostable. And I just line it up in the week. The other method, if you're one of those more impromptu kind of person, would be to actually go in and as you comment and you find it useful, copy the entire thing just before you finish. Go into Buffer or inlytics.io. They have a scheduler and just put it in there. We'll put a title on the top saying that need working on if it's not ready yet. So you know not to push it out or save it as a draft. But once it's ready, just add an image to it and normally you can schedule up to like a month in advance. And I normally schedule up to 3 months in advance because every day you give 10 comments, that's like 10 posts if you can repurpose them all. So yeah, repurpose your content, please.
I love that. And I learned to do that from a few different people. I know that Deanna keeps a notebook or something open with her all the time. So when she's watching her kids play sports, she's, taking notes. And I actually learned that too. When I'm commenting on something where I feel that I'm saying something that, might be kind of insightful, I do, copy it and I put it in a Word document so that I can go back and refer to it, when I'm trying to think of what am I gonna, write about today. So I'd like to go if we can. We have actually questions already.
What?
Yeah, I know already. We have people here. So Felipe wants to know, where do you suggest people go to learn some of the digital marketing skills you share in addition to your wonderful videos? Oh, good question.
Well, if you look at all the content creators we have in our network, so when I say our network, I mean John's Aspirants Network, you will see the prolific ones, they all would have some sort of programs. Or if you can't afford it or you want to save money, what I'll do is that I'll just go through the entire content itself and just do a search or with keywords. And normally you will find a pattern in them and you will put them together and you will learn whatever they are teaching, because most of the time content is just, we take a big piece of information and we just split it down to a million pieces and repurpose it out over months. But if you can pull them all together and the patience and you want to save money, that's the one way to do it. Otherwise, I think almost all of us are service providers on LinkedIn. Approach one of us, have a free call to start with, and if you find out that you're not really one of those talented writers like me, I'm not talented in writing at all, outsource it. That's the best way to go.
Yeah, I love that. And, I think that it's important to also try different things. I mean, I know you do a lot of video. I try to mix it up, because I do enjoy video. I resisted it for years because I hate to see my face, but it's just like,
What? You have the best looking videos ever.
oh,
You appear up front and center, and you're perfect looking at the screen, at the camera, and you don't even shake.
oh well, well, thank you. That's because I use clips and I record one line at a time. That's a tip that I learned from Nick Rayburn when I did a little training with him.
I couldn't
But
tell.
right, it makes it so much easier. But I learned to do them because it's just something else that you can do. And I love the idea that talking about repurposing content. One of the things that I do with my content is I take my LinkedIn lives and I put them on my podcast. So I, edit the audio. Usually I don't really edit them at all. I'm broadcasting on LinkedIn and also on YouTube. And then, if there's like a glitch or something, but I put them up on my podcast. And actually, I was quite surprised that I started doing this, how many people download those hour long, or 45 minutes to an hour long and listen to them. So how else do you suggest to use, repurpose content?
So the system that I have goes like this. So if you have a LinkedIn Live, which is a long video format, you change it into, first of all, you change the format itself. So you change it into a podcast like what you did, which is great. I go through it a different method. So I listen to what I spoke about, what I've learned from that LinkedIn Live. And so my podcast is normally a one-man show because sometimes in a conversation, which is what a live is, and engagement and stuff like that, it becomes a little unclear on a podcast where you have to describe a lot of stuff. Am I frozen? Because I have a very bad network here, it seems. But can you hear me properly, Annette?
Yeah, I hear you fine. Every once in a while, your image will freeze a little bit, but I hear you just fine.
Oh, this is bad. And this is after update. I'm sorry about that. So where was I? So we talk about turning your life into a podcast and then going from there. You want to take your podcast and you want to turn it into an article. So if you are not very savvy, you can use something like Pictionary, which is a new app that does a lot of stuff, content repurposing itself. If you are very, very good at it, then I would say be like Felipe, just sit on down and just write out what you feel and how it can value add to your audience itself, and that's good to go.
So I can't hear you right now.
Oof, that's bad. Okay.
So, okay. So one of the things, well, I will mention that one of the services that I use to, if I have an audio, something that's really long, is I use a platform called Temi, Temi. It's an artificial intelligence transcript, and they do a pretty good job. And I use that, and it's fairly inexpensive. I think it's, I don't know, 20 cents a minute or something like that. It's something really inexpensive for the AI version. But do you pull out like video clips of the lives? Because you do so much video. I don't know how you're. I feel like every time I look at my feed, I see you on there again. I was just listening earlier today. You were on LinkedIn Live with Jeff Young and something with Rebecca. So I have a question for the content, because it seems like you go in a lot of different areas. You were talking to Jeff Young about networking. A lot of it was on networking on LinkedIn. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he was talking about LinkedIn being, the 24/7, networking party, and finding your tribe and serving your network, etc. And then I was listening to another LinkedIn Live you were doing with Rebecca, where you were talking about stress, managing stress, and she was talking about meditating and yoga. And then I know you're also doing this 52 conversations. So how do you sort of juggle and manage all this, and how do you decide on these topics?
I don't. I'm first of all, thank you for actually going through my content with the fine tooth comb. I mean, I'm really honored that someone actually pays attention to them, and you literally call it out, which is what many people wasn't able to. They just go like, Sebastian talks about a lot of stuff, and there's a reason for it, and the reason is this because I am a lot older than I look, that's for sure, so I've been around the block, but my one purpose and one purpose of my presence to help company with is all about a LinkedIn strategy, a social media strategy that involves around sharing your story, that goes around building your content. And for that to happen, I have to be really flexible with my content formats itself. So I was starting with a lot of word posts, image posts, video posts, live posts, and then going back again downwards to short form videos from the lives and go on and so forth, and so on and so forth. So the idea is to establish and to show over time to people like you, now that you're seeing a pattern, is that if you really pay close attention, a lot of them are repurposed from one format to the other, which is why I'm very focused about my format of my lives, because I'm going to cut them out and I sit in a certain area of the frame. I hold my body in a certain way and I frame it up with simplicity for a reason, because you can repurpose it out with much ease after that. So that's what I do, why I do what I do.
So our conversation here, we were talking about thought leadership. So that is just like a genius way to show how you are able to do so many different things for your clients by showing how you do them yourself, right? So that seems to be like kind of the strategy.
Well, I think I have to thank my CEO for this, because it's a big company. So when you have a slot with a CEO, you want to get everything down. You want to get everything done, including backup work for mistakes, because to get another slot with the CEO is going to take a long time. So you want to have everything you have. And in content creation, it's very hard to have everything because you've got to plan like 10 steps ahead. So that's what I do. And I also learned to minimize it down to the easiest, simplest, you know what, MVP? I call it MVC, minimal viable content.
Okay.
Just the least amount, and blend it out in such a way whereby you can always add stuff. So I have a green wall behind me. I can change this screen anytime when I repurpose this content again and stuff like that. So make it simple and you can add the frills at the end. And this is what CEOs and people who don't have time want to do it, because you only want to do one Zoom call, and then if that gives you all the content that you have for a month, why not? Why sit in front of the computer spending half an hour every day and what should I post? What should I post? Oh no, now I need to engage.
Yeah, yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I was just making a note of that minimal viable content. I love that. Uh, so I worked as a magazine writer before I was ever in the career space. And I had mentioned that to you. And one of the things that I used to do, although we didn't have like video then, we didn't, it was just me on the phone with them taking down notes. But when you're talking to a CEO, company CEO, they don't have a lot of time. They want you to be prepared. They want you to get right down to it. And I'm sure that's one of the things that makes you really valuable.
Thank you very much. Do you know how to use shorthand?
No, no,
How do you
no.
write so fast then? Because a phone call can be super fast.
Well, one of the things that I used to do then was, I would take like notes the same way I did when I was in school. I would just make notes to jar my memory. And if it was something where I had to, really take it down, we would never send the articles we wrote for approval, but we would send like quotes. Is this exactly what you said? And now that we have video, we don't have to worry about that, because even if I'm talking to a client and we're doing something, I can record it and get the transcription so I have it in detail. But yeah, I'm dating myself, but yeah, I remember. I
Hey, I
remember that.
learned shorthand, so you're not
Really?
dating us. I did. It was a pain. I walked out of that class.
Well, to further date myself, when I worked at the magazine, it was back in the early '90s, and I one of my jobs. I mean, I always talk about this too with the dream job. People are like, oh, my dream job, my dream job, and you get your dream job. I did. I was a magazine writer. But, no job is as dreamy as you ever think it's going to be. And one of my jobs was to work with the photographer when they came in to do, photo shoots for the cover, which was so fun. My other part of that job was typing labels on a typewriter to return all of the products that we brought in for the photo shoot. Not so much fun. So
What? Don't you have an assistant for that?
yeah, it was a tiny, I wasn't working at like Vogue, I was working at a small, national but four color, but small but magazine. So I digress here, getting off talking about my job experience. But one of the things too that I really have mentioned and I love are the inspirational. So what makes you on Instagram if your clients are primarily sort of on LinkedIn, what makes you take that time, on Instagram to put through those, just short but very inspirational, telling people, you are amazing. If nobody's told you that today, I'm telling you, you're amazing, and things like that.
I didn't set out to do that intentionally. It was, when they say listen to the metrics, you listen to the metrics. There's a reason for that. When I came onto LinkedIn, I was just doing pure LinkedIn, nothing else. I turn my nose up to the other platforms, but I do have them on my personal accounts. And we talk about content repurposing, we talk about omni channels, on doing it on different platforms itself, and that's what I did. And it did not work. Taking a live or taking a video that you did for LinkedIn and you just copied one-to-one for Instagram and one-to-one for TikTok did nothing at all. So over time I got tired and I started to do trending stuff, which is what you want to do to actually get yourself up there in front of the audiences, which is what they recommend you. LinkedIn is a little bit different. We have a different ballgame altogether, so don't try that. Only with the polls and the carousel stuff. Now, I realized that no-brainers, I call them no-brainers, is because I literally just have to memorize the lines from a video that I watch, say it to my camera with my face filling up about 80% of the screen, nothing less, because you want my face up front, I don't know why, and looking all sad or inspired or puppy-eyed or like wise and speaking really slow, like I know everything. Those hits thousands within minutes. When I give out tips, they barely meet 100 views a day. So I'm like, why do I give so much work for? Just listen to a video, say it out, get thousands of views, job done. Which is what's happening with Instagram now. So I'm a bit confused as really do they want. But it's a trend. That's what we're seeing. Or maybe it's a trend, or maybe it's just because I'm seeing more of such stuff, so they're serving me more of such stuff. But my real feed, it's just inspiration after inspiration. I'm getting like a bit too much.
Well, it's really wonderful, wonderful to see that. And, I kind of do that in reverse. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the presence that you do to be talking to people about, oh, you're so fabulous. Although I think it, I hope I inspire my clients to recognize how awesome. But I will tell you what I do is I create my the tip videos, the short form videos. I create them for TikTok, and then I repurpose them on LinkedIn as my short form videos. But I do them specifically, with that intent. And sometimes the video might be, a little over 3 minutes. So I'll, taper it back for Instagram, for TikTok and Instagram. But then I will, put the 3, plus minutes on LinkedIn. So, and that seems to have worked, fairly well for me. I'm not getting certainly, I don't get thousands of people checking me out on TikTok for sure, but I figure, you never know. So it's good to be where people are.
First of all, you have 3 minutes on your TikTok. Jealous. Like upset and jealous at the same time, but I'll be fine. Not everyone has that.
I bet you do too.
Not everyone has them. I think TikTok has just recently launched in Canada a 5 minutes, or I can't remember, it's 3 minutes or 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yep. If you're seeing a trend to go back to longer format, I know. And even Instagram itself, they are seeing an additional 5 to 8 seconds more on their reels, and those are the ones that trends. So good luck if you're now used to creating like super short content, like 9 to 15 seconds. You have to add about 5 to 8 seconds to them. I don't know what you're gonna do then because it takes so much time to learn how to cut it back. But now you gotta add the fluff back in again, and you're like, make up
Yeah,
your mind.
I told you that's part of the reason that I use clips, because I can cut each clip a little tiny bit to make it fit. And then of course with Instagram, if it's longer, it can go on Instagram TV. So you can push out there. So we have a question here from our friend Kamalika about, oh, do you want to be known as someone who chases mindless engagement? Okay, I guess that's a question for you.
Ooh.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Um, so that's a good one. Let me answer this in this way. I was approached not too long ago by one of the largest pod in the world. This pod is so huge, and they are right on LinkedIn itself. I cannot say too much more than that. And they are so well organized, and I was giving them social media advice. I was almost close to getting the job as the lead, as a lead content creator for them, but I didn't take it. Principles, had to stick to it. I lost my train of thought to the question again. The question was if I want to be known as a. Do I have the question?
Do you want to have people know you for mindless engagement? But you only do that. Then again, I mean, you only do that on TikTok or Instagram, right? Instagram.
No, you see, when you join a pod, the engagement gets you that push. But most pod owners stop there. They don't tell you it's a part two of it because people who go to pods don't want to do more work or anything at all. If you're a content creator, if you're a pod owner, whatever it is, the engagement at the beginning is only there to help boost you up. So you trend, and when you trend, more people can see your stuff. You have to use that opportunity and actually get in there and engage with these people, connect with them, start building funnels, or in your CRM itself, start segmenting them to know like how would they fit into your journey down the road, and it takes 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months. That's what it is for. You don't just do a poll and engage mindlessly on it because everyone is doing it and it's reaching out to thousands of people, only to just end the poll and be done with it. Because those numbers are not for nothing. They either become, first of all, you reach out to all of them and thank them, and give them results of the poll. Tell them, demonstrate your thought leadership, so that you can see as a expert for whatever you're doing, and then you start splitting them out. Okay, is this person am I going to have any collaboration with, or can they help my network grow? Do they have, and kind of stuff. So you start splitting it out from there. Those numbers are there. So that's why those people who do polls on a daily basis, I know that they can't be doing much with it because there's no way you can do that on a daily basis and get away with it.
Yeah. So Kamalika says that's really cool. I thought that's really pretty cool too. So that was really, really exciting. And I hear you on the polls, and here's a little bit more praise for you. Thanks for it. And that is an interesting take. So you're just generating to get that sort of audience, and then you can kind of show them your stuff, show them your show them your brain there once they're there watching you. And and you talked about polls with content, and people always say, I hear people in Clubhouse say, people, oh, how do I get engagement? Oh, do a poll. And I know some people do them all the time. I hardly ever do them. The last poll I did, I really didn't get much engagement on it.
Really?
But I see, I don't know, maybe it was the time of day. I'm not really sure. But, I see polls like, what do you like better, peanut butter or jelly? I mean, God. It's just like, it's crazy to me, talk about your sort of mindless content. And those polls like that, they'll get like thousands of people responding to them. But it makes me kind of crazy.
That is the point, because if you niche down on your content, if you niche down on your topics, more people cannot engage or it doesn't resonate with them. That's the point of niching down. Those people who do, at first I couldn't understand those people. So I'm like, why the hell do you need to know if I drink my coffee with or without sugar? Like, what is it going to do with
I know.
you? Like, why would you need to know that? Like, do I tell you if I wear my underpants inside out or not? Why would you need to know that? But actually, there's a reason for it. It's just the lowest hurdle that you can put out there for people to cross so that they can engage. Answering, so the poll is designed in a very good way where you read the hook, you see a bit of introduction to what it is, don't put too much in there, and then you go to the poll itself. So it's 3 segments of engagement points, which takes a lot of time to go through because you cannot go from one to the other without understanding the previous one. You cannot just jump poll, because if you do that and someone wrote something else in the content itself and it doesn't quite flow, you will be called out very fast. And then by the time you decide, you make a decision, and then you still have to engage, like it, and then you do a comment at the end again. Like, you easily spend 5 minutes on that. And people don't spend 5 minutes on their posts. People just like, especially digital marketers, they're like, in, comment, out, in, comment, out, in, comment, out. But a poll, we hate it because it takes us too long to go through them.
Yeah.
There's even the settings, you can turn it off. You can stop seeing people's polls.
Oh, really? I'm going to have to find out how to do that then, because every once in a while there is someone that's really looking for information. Someone in the career field who is asking, what would you like to hear? What area in your job search is holding you back that you would like me to share information on? And that's something I think can be valuable. So, it's funny because in a roundabout way, we've been talking about kind of all of these different things, and yet the theme has been thought leadership, right? It really has kind of turned out that way. So Kamalika has a sort of a long follow-up question here, and I'm just going to read this for people that are listening on the podcast later on. So a follow-up question, since you mentioned that long-form content is coming back, do you both have any tips for creating long-form videos that's engaging, can get your eyeballs while showing your depth of understanding the topic you want to be known for as a thought leader? Okay.
Wow. Can you squeeze any more keywords in there?
But we only have, like 10, 15 more minutes here, Kamalika. So why don't you jump on that one, Seb?
Talk to Claire on this one. Talk to Claire, and you see, I think Jillian is still in the. Jillian, are you there? If you're there, just say hi. You see Jillian, Kamalika, call her post and book a one-to-one with her. Michelle booked a one-to-one with her, and Michelle loved that one-to-one. But for
Jillian?
me, what?
I did too. I booked a one-to-one with Jillian too. She was very helpful for me. So
I know. Honestly, I'm gonna just say this out front. When I first got to know Jillian, I'm like, she doesn't look cool like a content creator. Why would she be an expert on videos? And she wasn't very revealing on her own content as well, on her video stuff, until one of the content that she revealed showed her first video she ever did on LinkedIn itself, or one of the platforms, and I was like, wow, this woman has been doing videos for a very long time. So what took me maybe a day to churn out, for her it's like seconds or minutes.
Yep. It's so funny because as I said, I booked a consult with Jillian myself, and I recommended her to a friend and colleague of mine, and he said the same thing. He said, I checked her out. I wasn't quite sure, but I booked the consult with her, and I mean, he loves her. He's gone back to her, I think, more than once for help. Because she says she's the easy peasy, and she sure is the easy peasy.
She makes it easy peasy for you.
Yes, exactly. I appreciate that. So, my thought is for having the longer form content that's engaging. I'm not sure if you meant video. I mean, for video, I don't think you could ever go too long, that you should go too long. I have friends and colleagues that post like 5-10 minute videos on LinkedIn, And even though I know them and I know their information is really solid, I couldn't listen, to it for that long. I mean, what do you think?
You are from a generation where patience is a virtue. With the millenniums, sorry, you have 9 seconds to sell to them something and tell them how they benefit from it, or you're out. 9 seconds. A goldfish, actually, no, goldfish it's just 2 seconds short with the memory. But to Kamalika's point first is that if you want to, the one thing that I see that people do wrongly is that they blabber on in a video. When they are unsure or unclear or they want to show their thought leadership, they blabber. They start justifying, they start, telling people more and more examples, like, I've done this too, I've done that too. Like, no, stop. Just tell them one example. The less you say sometimes is the more. Because the more you say, the more you start revealing stuff you don't want to reveal. So just take one and just go it out. So you have a long form videos, and I know this works because I once came out and I did 100 days of life every single day. In a very, very, very short time, I learned to reduce my 1 hour life to 15 minutes to 5 minutes. And it was still too long because every day 5 minutes is a long time. And the way I could do it was this: I broke down my life into 3 parts on a daily basis. Topic of the word of the day, implementations, and what I call a workaround. But so I'm all about workarounds. So word of the day is a word that I put out there that you can think about, and I share with you what I think about this word. It goes into my LinkedIn book that I'm writing, which is called The ABCs of LinkedIn. If anyone else is thinking of that, the title is mine. Go get your own. And the second part is about how you implement this word in your in your LinkedIn journey or social media journey. And the last part is workarounds. Like if this doesn't work the way you want it to, there are different ways to do it. There are just many different ways to do it. If your posts are not being seen on Google, you turn your posts into articles, which goes on Google, and then you make sure you link all your posts in articles so that people can come back again. So
Yeah.
there's always a workaround.
And I think of that too with the long form content. And, I started posting articles again on my LinkedIn profile a few months ago when Lavinia had recommended that. And so I thought, okay, well, she's a top voice. And, if she says I should do it, then I should do it. I always pronounce her last name incorrectly. It's Lavinia on
Tumapati?
Depathy. I'm sorry, Lavinia, if you ever hear this, but I'm butchering your name. But she is, she's fabulous. So I took her advice, and then I got newsletter, and newsletter I think is the best way to do that long form content. I mean that's my thought on that.
How long is long?
Well, I don't know. For me, long is like 800 words or 1,000 words, but I know some people write them really longer. What do you think
Wow.
for long?
I'm going for short. I've been fighting the newsletter thing for the longest time possible until LinkedIn is literally throwing it in my face. Every time I write an article, it's showing me there like, what do you think about the newsletter? It's a pledge. Do you want to give us some advice on how you can feedback on newsletter? I'm like, I'm not on it. Get off my back. But it shows there every time I write my articles. I'm like, fine, I'll give it a shot. But I don't want to do more work for it. So I do short form video content. I have products and services that help people create their short form video content from one Zoom call that I run with them and guide them along everything. And so my upcoming newsletter would be, what do I call it, Kamalika? I think Kamalika remembers things that I say way better than I do. It's called Short But Powerful. So it's really
Oh yes,
short with words. Yep.
I heard you mention that. So we have a couple of questions here. Our friend Tina, who is a international headhunter and a friend of both of ours, what do job seekers need to know about video? So let's give them some tips. Why don't you
What
give
do you
them some
have?
tips?
What do you have? Because you have a lot of job seekers too.
Well, my thinking with the video for job seekers is cover story. I mean, there's so many people, and I write about this and talk about this all the time, that people need to have a headshot that looks like them. So when they meet people, they look like themselves and not like someone who's, you know, 20 years older than their photo, or I know people, they have the photos are like professional photographers, they Photoshop them so much they don't even look like you.
Zoom
So
shock.
let's so how about some tips for cover story video?
My tip is this: if a recruiter has gone down to the effort of looking at your cover story, first of all, they are pretty savvy, and they have the time because most of them just want certain information from your about section and your experiences, and they want to run with it. They don't really have the time to go through all of your entire profile itself. So if someone's looking at your profile cover story, that means they have actually time and they want to know more about you. So you're kind of like a bit further on than the rest of the people. So instead of something saying generic, like, like what you do, I advocate for the fact that you want to talk about what value you can bring to the team you're going to join. For
Hmm.
me, it's about my LinkedIn campaigns and how I can reduce some of them when they're not spent properly, up to a reduction of 68%. I'm all about optimizing campaigns and stuff. So you see my content from day one till now, it's getting better and better and better. And, it's easier to produce them because you got to improve. And don't spend it talking about you. Talk about what value you bring. Because this
Yes.
way, the recruiters get the. If the recruiter is, no offense, sorry to every one of you out there, if the recruiter is lazy, you literally just give them an excuse of why, a reason why they should have you instead of anyone else.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. And, I was actually talking to Tina about this a few weeks ago when she was on my LinkedIn Live, and she told me that, she doesn't see a lot of profiles with cover stories. But, my thinking is if you're looking for a job or looking for clients or just, whatever on LinkedIn, use everything that you have, right? Use every feature that's available. Have the cover story, use the featured section. Brenda Meller is another one who talks about that. Being, a marketer as well as a, LinkedIn expert there, to use everything that's available to you where it just, you're missing out for no reason. And it's always about whether you're looking for a job or clients or whatever, is to set yourself apart from the other people who are, kind of like you, right?
True that. True that.
So I'm sorry, if you want to add something else before we go to Simone, that's cool.
No, I think we can go to Simone because if I add, I'm going to stay here forever.
Okay. Well, Simone, another friend, thank you for being here. She asked, should you plan your lives, LinkedIn lives? I'm thinking, what about spontaneity?
It depends on you. It depends on what kind of person you are. I have people who plan their lives down to their very last period and the last comma there, and they know where to put it in. For me, because my content pillars are about content development, personal development. I have no shame showing how little I know in the beginning. My first video on LinkedIn in 2021 was so badly lit. It's terrible. I look terrible. And going from that, like even one of my LinkedIn live, I had to help a client who was so uncertain in front of the camera. I literally came on live, show her the point about even guys like me have stuff like this. I don't know if you can see them. Oh, wait, let me do it like the way the influencers do it.
Oh,
Because we don't look like this on a daily basis. We are guys. We just don't look like this. I don't roll out of bed and in 5 minutes time look like this. And but I'm not gonna spend like I don't know how long women do makeup for, but I want to cover some spots. I want to just do it and get it on. And so I did it in front of the live, and I showed them like, look, if you're uncertain about the way you look, you don't have to live with it. It's a camera. There's a lot
yep,
of things you can do behind. You
yep.
just see what's behind 1 inch outside of what you see on the screen right now. I don't think you look at me the same way again.
Well, the thing is, though, that is so true. I mean, I certainly wouldn't roll out of bed and hop on a LinkedIn Live. I have to do my hair a little bit, a little makeup. I don't want to scare people. When I pop on, my dogs think I look beautiful when I wake up, but
Because they
not.
get fed,
But
they get food.
yeah, exactly. Because they oh, mommy's going to give us the food now. But I mean, it's just so there is preparation. I mean, I know that I like to do I do a little preparation every time I have somebody as my guest because I want to know a little bit more about them, and I want to be able to make them feel comfortable and shine the light on them. I mean, that's what the purpose is. So that's my take on it as well. So Simone says, yeah, your journey is a great story and a source of future content.
Absolutely.
Inspirational. So we are, the time has just flown by. We are at the, end of our LinkedIn Live. Is there anything that you would like to share that, that I haven't asked you, that we haven't discussed, that you think would be of value to anyone who's either, watching now or catching this on the replay?
Let me just say it this way. I never used to believe it because I used to believe that we are sufficient. We know everything, and yes, we can learn a lot of things. But the reason why we're on LinkedIn is because it's a professional networking platform, and we're here to meet professionals in their fields. Why do we want to meet them if we're not going to collaborate with them or use their services? It's like buying a handbag or a shoe that you're never going to wear or carry. So look into how you can collaborate with them or barter services if you're a solopreneur, or if you're a business enterprise itself. Think about exchanging or buying of services, because that's the reason why we build network for. It's not just to look good and on the numbers. Look into your network. Stop looking outside of your network for that, because hey, better the two birds in your better the one stone in your hand than the two birds in the bush. I think it's something like that.
Something like that. So, I appreciate that. And I thank you so much for joining me today and sharing so much great information. I know it will be a valuable resource for others. Again, who've been here with us. Thank you for being here. And anyone who's going to be watching this on the LinkedIn Live replay or up on YouTube. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Come back next week. I am here, the Smarter Career Moves LinkedIn Live, every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So goodbye and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me.